What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So we got some very big news that has come out today. Want to address what that is because there's a few things that are happening. First, we got some major news out of Russia and Ukraine because what we're hearing is that Russia is going to be pulling out of certain areas of Ukraine. I want to address exactly why and what many people are expecting. We also have news that Senator Joe Manchin is blocking President Biden once again with his plan of trying to tax billionaires to bring in about, I think it's like 1.5 or $1 trillion of new money, new revenue over about 10 years. So a lot of stuff going on there. Also going to address a little bit of a stimulus update and also talk about how Americans are quitting their jobs for a different reason now. And guess what? It's not because of wages. That's a major concern because that's what employers have up their sleeve is, oh, you want to work, but this just isn't working for you. Well, here's an extra $1 or $2 per hour because that normally works, but it's not. So let's get right into it. And first off, if you enjoy these daily uploads, could you do me a favor? Go ahead, hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. Now, the big news out today is that Russia is not withdrawing troops out of Ukraine. That's not what they're doing. They're actually redeploying troops to different parts of Ukraine. They have said that they're going to pull troops back from Kyiv. But according to Pentagon officials, they're not withdrawing out of Ukraine. They're just moving troops to different locations. And the likely location is back towards the eastern Donbas region. And according to the Pentagon, Russian troops failed to take over major cities in Ukraine. And because of this, because of the Ukrainian resistance, right? Citizens fighting for their country, their hometowns, their families. Russian troops had no other choice but to just pull back. So it's big news, but why is this such big news? Well, here's the reason why. This is big news because if Russia feels like they have gotten as much out of Ukraine as they could, they're going to continue to pull back further and further. And as soon as they get close enough, they'll just leave the country. This is at least according to multiple experts. But this also means that the war between Russia and Ukraine could be close to being over. And that's very good news. But here's something that most people don't realize. Because I read a few comments today that, okay, the war could potentially be over. That means gas prices are going to drop. No, that's not really what that means. And I read another comment. If the war is almost over, that means we're not going to have supply shortages because wheat that we normally get from Russia and Ukraine, and again Canada and US is pretty big as well, but we're going to see more of that, right? Well, no, that's not really the truth either. What you need to keep in mind is that when the war is finally over, what this means is that this is not the end of supply shortages. This isn't the end of sanctions. The sanctions are still going to be there, and this isn't the end of rising inflation. Inflation is still going to be a problem. These are all still problematic, and these are all things that we must deal with. But this would likely shorten the time frame of kind of what we are going to see, and the major shortages that we see across the world, and really here in the United States, it's going to shorten those. Now, we don't know by how long. We don't know what it's really going to do. Just like we didn't have an idea of exactly how much of this war between Russia and Ukraine was going to impact us here in the United States. And according to multiple experts, they say that we are just seeing the beginning of these shortages, that they could actually compound and amplify, which wouldn't be great. But at least we know it's coming to a potential end, which is great news, not only for us here in the United States, but around the country, around the world, and for Ukraine as well, because hopefully their citizens will be able to go back to their country and live the life that they once lived. And at least they could be safe doing so. Now, let's address something else. And that's President Biden's latest plan of taxing billionaires. Now, I really want to address this because we saw this get introduced less than 24 hours ago. President Biden introduced this plan on Monday, yesterday. Now, this plan was to tax the super wealthy, and they're going to tax them 20%. You're probably thinking, 20% tax on their earned income? No big deal, right? We pay more than that. right? As just regular people, we pay, 20, 25, 30, 35%, 38%, whatever it is, right? We pay that in income tax. Well, why can't the super wealthy do that? Well, here's the issue. This tax wasn't just on their earned income. The 20% tax was on their income plus their unrealized gains. This could be their business assets, real estate, right? Their stock portfolio, crypto gains, right? All unrealized gains. Now, as with every plan that President Biden has had, Senator Joe Manchin pretty much shot it down right from the beginning. And just yesterday, Senator Joe Manchin said, and I quote, "You can't tax something that's not earned. Earned income is what we're based on. Unrealized gains is not the way to do it." But then he also goes on to say, and I quote, "There are other ways to do it. Everybody has to pay their fair share. Everybody has to pay their fair share. That's for sure." That's what he said. Now, do I think something like this is going to happen? No. And that's the crazy thing. It doesn't matter if there's a Republican in office, there's a Democrat in office. It doesn't matter if Democrats hold all the control and all the power in Congress or Republicans do. We haven't seen where any party goes after the rich and the wealthy, because guess what? Those are also the ones that are donating to their campaigns. You think they're going to go and say, "Oh, hey, Mr. Musk, I need $100 million from you. But at the same time, I'm going to raise taxes, so sorry, you're not going to be as rich as you once were." No, it doesn't work like that. It's not the way it works. And now, Senator Joe Manchin, he's blocking President Biden here. He's blocked him before, right? We're still seeing that Democrats are trying to get Senator Joe Manchin on board with the Build Back Better Act, or the Building a Better America bill, right? And at this point, some are even saying that Democrats don't want to negotiate with him because they say it's pointless, because he's not going to pass the bill. He's going to talk. He's going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you what he thinks should be in the bill and how the language should be written. But when it comes to voting, he's not going to vote for it. These are just motions. He's just going through the motions. That's all he's doing. And so that's what's very frustrating. But again, this isn't something new. Senator Joe Manchin has blocked President Biden multiple times. And this is somebody in his own party. So, right now, do I think a 20% tax on billionaires is going to happen to help fund the government budget, right? Help fix that? To help maybe pass additional social programs? No, it's not going to happen. Okay? Do I wish it would? It's tough. It puts you in a very tough situation, because here's the reason. If billionaires have to pay more in taxes, guess what? There's less money and less investments that are going to go back into the business, which means innovation takes a hit, right? Our economic output is going to take a hit, because guess what? All we're going to do is we're going to pump the money back into other programs, or we're going to pay down our national deficit, which is $30+ trillion. So it's not like it's going to go right back into the economy. Now, something else that we are seeing is that right now, and talking about the economy, is that people are quitting their jobs. And I've talked about this before and talked about the great resignation and all this, but here's the truth. People are quitting their jobs at a faster pace now than they did in 2021. And this is actually very alarming, because in 2021, experts anticipated this as inflation was rising, because people were going to quit, go find a different job, which paid them more money. But guess what? It's not all about wages anymore. What many workers are saying now is that wages are not the most important factor when it comes to accepting a new position. Now they're saying it's all about, does the job fit into their lifestyle? Does their job fit into how they want to change or adapt, or where they want to live, or what they want to do? If it doesn't, it's not the job they want. And just to give you an idea of how many changes we're seeing, we saw just in February 2022 alone, we saw 11.3 million job openings. That's up. That's up from the 10 million open positions we had, roughly on average in 2021. Now, in February, we also saw 6.7 million people were hired onto new positions, which is great, because that actually outpaced the amount of people who left their jobs at 6.1 million people. And just 4.4 million people quit their jobs voluntarily. Yeah, they weren't fired. Okay, their business didn't close. They quit just voluntarily, like, I quit. Can't deal with you no more. I'm done. That's it. Now, the issue right now is that many of these open positions are for in-person jobs. Now you're probably thinking, well, aren't most jobs in person? Yeah, they are. And this is actually going against what many people are wanting, especially coming out of the pandemic, or right now when we are seeing COVID cases increase. Because what we're seeing now is some employers are even saying that they've been trying to cycle employees through different positions to find the perfect fit, because they don't want to go back through the hiring process. They don't want to do that all over again, find somebody, put them in a position that they don't like, and then fire them. What they're doing now is they put you in a position, you don't like it, or you just don't fit, they move you to the next one. Next open position, next one. And they just keep cycling you through until somebody finally sticks. And then they go and look for the other positions that need to be filled. Now, this is one way to do it. It's also extremely slow. So that's one of the issues is some employers are saying that even though, yes, they are getting applicants to submit an application and come in for an interview, the problem is it's just too slow because they're not a great fit. And a lot of people are there just because of the different options they have, the benefits package, maybe the wages. That's it. Now, let's talk about COVID for a second, because now the Omicron subvariant BA.2 is now the dominant strain in the United States as far as COVID. According to data, the hardest hit region has been the Northeast region of the United States, and as of right now, almost 70% of all cases are coming from that region. And experts also worry that this could cause a major uptick in cases, as the BA.2 variant is 50% more contagious than Omicron itself. Now, even though health experts are warning that this will increase cases, and we've known this for weeks, they also have been very clear that this shouldn't change the course or direction of how the United States is handling COVID at this time. Keep that in mind, because Dr. Anthony Fauci pretty much goes against that. Dr. Anthony Fauci did say the other day that Americans should be prepared for new COVID restrictions. But he also said, and I quote, "I don't want to use the word lockdowns. That has a charge element to it, but I believe that we must keep our eye on the pattern of what we're seeing with infections." He also went on to add, and I quote, "Having said that, we need to be prepared for the possibility that we would have another variant that would come along. And then, if things change and we do get a variant that does give us an uptick in cases and hospitalizations, has to be both, we should be prepared and flexible enough to pivot towards going back, at least temporarily, to a more rigid type of restriction, such as requiring indoor masks." Okay? So, that's what we're hearing right now regarding COVID. But again, I would not think we're anywhere near lockdowns. I don't even think we're close. Indoor masking is, yes, still a possibility. I think there's a good chance we go back to that. But do I think we see universal masking? No. Masking in schools? Possibly. But again, we'll have to wait and see. But as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on, share all latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.